Summary of the book The Art of Talking to Yourself, Self-Awareness. There is this inner talk, written by Veronika, crowning the fiber of what you will accept to hear. It is a call to self-confidence and a gentle guide to self-awareness. It introduces you to someone who is more familiar with you and how to be what you want. And that person is you, all without a teacher or coach for self-development. This book is full of honest, fun and gentle stories to take you on a journey deep into yourself to ignite your personal and professional awareness. It encourages the experience and expression of innate, unconditional love, which will create a profound and lasting change in yourself as a reader. This book explains your mental habits, rebuilds your self-talk from A to Z, helps you answer all the questions you have, builds self-confidence, which is the basis for self-awareness, teaches you conscious listening, and judge others fairly despite their differences, and then helps you bring inner voices from deep within you, learn their meanings, and how to deal with them, then invite you to observe yourself, to evaluate your self-awareness and your degree of internal balance. Chapter 1. In the end, you will memorize what you love, you will love what you understand, and you will understand what you have learned. Your inner speech is the group of thoughts that run through your head, and it is your relationship with yourself, and how this relationship connects you to your surroundings, and it is the lens through which you perceive reality. Your self-talk with yourself is what determines your feelings towards yourself and others, and affects the decisions you make in all matters of your life, and the desires that you respect, the ones you discard, the plans you make, and the lessons you learn. The mind does not work in a way that prevents thinking or feeling, or even forces it to think in a certain way. You cannot control your emotions, thoughts, or memories that torment you, but you can control your choice of how to respond to them and respond to them, whether they are successful or unsuccessful. You can meet disappointment with acceptance and curiosity, rather than criticism. Although you can control the conversations you have with yourself, you can control your perception and response to them. Many people search for the magical, enlightened inner part, and the voice that guides them towards everything they desire, but in reality, there is no one who can direct or guide another on the path in the journey of life. Our insides are filled with as many sounds, gestures, and movements as there are stars in the sky. This means that what will guide you is to respond to these sounds. Chapter 2. Find the self-awareness that nourishes your soul. To start listening to your inner speech, you must be free from your preconceived notions about yourself, and from anticipating assumptions to find answers. You cannot write in a full notebook, and you cannot love your face if you do not take off the mask that you have drawn according to society's view. Learn not to take other people's opinions as absolute truths, but rather consciously select what they say, and match it with your own experience to introduce self-awareness. In your internal speech, you must take responsibility and stay away from hesitation. Hesitation comes from a lack of self-confidence. You may have taken responsibility before and failed, and perhaps beliefs, philosophies, and precedents have described you as untrustworthy, and you may have found yourself in relationships and workplaces that suppress your inner desires. It is as if you were born in a society that manages all of your behaviors through its culture, and all of this affects self-confidence, which we must realize that its presence or absence is only an acquired habit, and therefore your only two options in life will be either to surrender to your flawed nature in the eyes of society, or to control yourself. Chapter 3. You do not have to think about the complexities of the universe, but rather live in peace within it. In our self-talk or with others, we are very vulnerable to misunderstanding. Here we must be aware of possible misunderstandings. Absorb it, learn from, and before you discover how you misunderstand yourself, start working out how you misunderstand others. Misunderstanding is a fact of life. You instinctively misunderstand yourself, those around you, and others. When we are aware of these patterns, we can accept misinterpretation as an invitation to understand rather than disagree. Understanding is the language of the heart, and when we do not keep it in mind, communication deteriorates, and language becomes a vessel marred by misunderstanding. Listening is also a changeable skill that helps you understand others, so they understand you. And you will learn, like searching for the depths of meaning in every communication between you and them. Conscious listening opens your mind and enables you to judge others instead of judging them by their appearance or clothing. Everything happens because of and for a reason. Every word you speak to yourself, whether it is pain, a dream, or a desire, stems from a secret network of causes and effects, and this means learning to communicate with oneself. It's like learning a new language. When you have a broader vocabulary, you can understand better, and often, you will need to focus efforts not just on the individual sounds, but on the relationship between them. You can hear someone inside you controlling your inner child, and your role here is to reconcile them. Chapter 4: Knowledge ends when you stop learning and researching. We are accustomed to the distortions presented by our self-concepts, and to justifying our actions and the reactions of others in familiar ways. We assume that others see us as we see ourselves, and these assumptions reinforce our self-concepts. The more disconnected our ideas about ourselves are from reality, the more difficult it becomes to monitor ourselves. Looking at ourselves can be confusing, and other people's reactions to us can be insulting. But ignorance has a price, whether we admit to paying it or not. We all feel uncomfortable watching ourselves, but to varying degrees. This depends on the amount of gap that exists between the reality of our personalities and what we think they are. When we spend a long time focusing on a part of us that sparks negative self-talk, we have to stop looking at ourselves from this perspective, as our eyes refuse to see what others see as negative, so we portray others as critics and villains in our internal drama. This perpetuates our own self-abuse. Notice your assumptions about how others see you, what they think of you, and what they want from you. Look at yourself in the eyes of others. What seems flawed to one person seems attractive to another, and what makes one person laugh may offend another. Also, everything you like about yourself, there are those who want to change it. Chapter 5: Learn inner balance to live in peace. We often define ourselves by the loudest voices. If you suffer a lot from anxiety or self-doubt, you call yourself anxious or insecure. How do you define yourself? You might say that you are responsible, calm, and humble, or creative, or selfless, and these labels can be restricted like malicious self-talk. There is a difference between naming yourself and naming your inner voice. When you notice a certain pattern in yourself and call it responsibility, for example, you still have room to find opposing patterns, such as fun, for example. And when you call yourself a responsible person, you stop communicating with contradictory voices, and look at yourself from only one perspective, and this causes you harm and limits your definitions of self. You can become your therapist, your partner, and your best friend. You can break your reliance on quick fixes and relationships, and start to trust. Make sure that everything you need in terms of a savior, helper, or answer is within you. Internal balance does not mean introversion and living alone, and not receiving support from others. It is just a matter or mental equation. We realize that everything we can offer to others exists within ourselves, such as love. Instead of relying on others, we can learn from them. Chapter 6: The self does not heal in one day, but rather it heals every day that it lives. The seeker of truth within you can help you discover inner patterns, heal them, and decode them, but when you find him for the first time, he will be weak and inexperienced from lack of use. Awareness like these muscles need exercise, training, and practice in expanding your understanding and becoming wiser. Instead of searching for your inner teacher, you will see that self-awareness simply cannot be found. It must be thoughtful. When you recognize the truth seeker within you, you will discover your ability to connect with more in this world. You will find different people, learn multiple lessons, and have many experiences. You will begin to speak fluently with others in meaningful ways, rather than just role-playing with them. You will embrace confusion instead of confusion. In reverse search for certainty, you'll discover what it means to be your own best friend. And you'll learn to laugh at the stories you tell yourself, and to hold every part of yourself with gentle compassion. You will understand the difference between the pain of self-deception and the pain of honest self-observation. You will learn to improve yourself while respecting yourself. You will learn to advance yourself without self-destruction. And most importantly, you will learn to be patient in your healing journey. Through self-understanding, you will discover the true meaning of self-love. A notable paragraph from the book. If you feel called to step into a leadership position, self-awareness will be your greatest asset. With inner balance, you will spread integrity everywhere you go. You will look deeply rather than superficially. You will promote harmony in your words and actions. You will not compete with or be compared to other leaders. You will work with others to make meaningful changes. You won't measure success in numbers, dollars, followers, ranks, sales, reviews, likes on Facebook. Instead, will be measured by the people helped and the connections made. You will help people accept themselves by being real with them. You will not show up for attention or acceptance. You will show up because you have something important to say. You will build tribes instead of sects. You will see your followers as equals. You will learn with them, and they will trust you. Conclusion. When our internal conversations are out of balance, we assume that our lives are out of balance. The sounds that we chant appear in other forms, namely desires, worries, pains, and dreams. Balance is the manager of life, and when you are extreme, you destroy it, and you end up in toxic relationships. Our behavior comes from our thoughts, and our thoughts, in turn, come from our beliefs and self-talk. This can change the sequence and allow us to control our own destiny. You must stop sabotaging yourself and the flow of negative thoughts into you, and change self-criticism into your biggest encourager. Transforming your self-talk will change the course of your life, and know that you are what you believe in.